Hi, everyone. It
Hi,
is
Lynn.
now February. Yay. So I don't know, is it cold in Ireland?
It's freezing. It's bitterly cold today, but nice and bright. So that's how, and no rain today.
Oh,
So
good. What's it
that's all
like
good.
in Canada?
It is a beautiful winter day as long as you can stay inside because that wind is wicked.
Yeah.
We're at -20, and I think that's
What?
-4 in American.
Oh,
Yummy. Well,
Yeah.
oh,
I am of course in South Texas and where it is going to be 86 today.
oh my
And
God.
then tomorrow our high will be at midnight and it's supposed to be like 50 tomorrow. So 40-degree swing, go figure. All right, so Yvonne is not with us today, and Dee is hopefully coming. But what we wanted to discuss today was just doing some more three-card interpretations, and then kind of discuss, what we thought about them. And I threw out some questions for you, and the questions are, oh my gosh, talk about progressives. New glasses. Okay, let's see. The first question was, and I kept these really simple. Travel advice. A friend and I are planning to take a road trip together. How will it work out? That was the first one. And I thought it'd be fun to each of us to just pull our own cards. But we've talked before about questions. It's like, what would you want to know about that trip, or what would you want to know about the situation, and and can we turn those into our questions, for our cards or into our positions? Does anybody want to go first, or do you want me
Well,
to?
I'll take a run at it here.
Okay.
So for that one, I pulled first card was the Knight of Swords in a reverse position, followed by the Six of Cups, my least favorite card in the entire deck, and the Lover's card. And when I look at those, I said this road trip is going to start off on rocky. The Knight of Swords when he's reversed is the coming storm. But there is an emotional kind of connection in here. So there's a deepness in this relationship that is not going to be destroyed by the coming storm. So it's more going to be tempest in the teapot than knock down, drag out. And then the final card is the lovers, and that is making choices as to whether you can ignore the tempest in the teapots or whether you're going to make an issue of it. At the end of the day, you have no control over what other people do. You only can control what your reactions are. And I think that's a good reminder for this, with the levers coming up, is that it's choices who you include in your life.
Yay.
Hmm.
How about you, Anne Marie?
Okay, well, I have to make sense of what I have here now. I was thinking if I had somebody sitting in front of me, I would ask them to open up a bit about their friend. You know, what he like. How long have you known them? What's the energy like between you?
Right.
Uh, just if they got going at that. Uh, and then I would ask them, how do you feel about the prospect of spending that? This is a big question too. How do you feel about the prospect of spending time alone together? And what obstacles are you likely to encounter? That's what I came across. So what came up for me, and here's my little screen now if I can find it. What came up for me was I go with the card in the center as the first thing. So as you can see, the card in the center is the Six of Swords. So that I felt was a good omen. It was people helping each other, bringing them, and it could be. I thought again, if you were speaking with somebody, you would have a bit more interaction. But it could be that either you or your friend needs the help and support of each other to get from one place to a better place. That you need this road. Somebody needs this road trip to clear their mind and clear thoughts out of their mind. And one of you could be doing the other a terrific favor on this road trip. And I thought it was suspicious that it came out as as the center card. On the left, you had this. You have the Eight of Wands, and really, what that just said, what that told me is, look, you're good to go. The plans have been made. You're not going to back out now. Plans are in progress, so you may put up or shut up. And that was that one. And then, what obstacles are you likely to encounter? And the obstacles I came up with, the five of, why am I looking here? The Five of Wands. And it might be that you are both fairly opinionated, and that each one of you might think you know the exact answer to any situation or any given situation. And also, harking back to the Eight of Wands, the starting off point there, it might be that your friend might be inclined to move more quickly, or one of you might be inclined to make quick decisions, or have a faster energy than the other. So you might have a bit of argy-bargy there. So I think if you were aware of that, if you went with a good positive attitude of being helpful to each other, and maybe you're the one that needs the assistance at this time, maybe you're the one that needs to move into a nicer place, or a quieter place, or a more peaceful place, but one of you, I feel, certainly is, and you might be able to tone down your opinions a little bit if you had this thumbs up or whatever. So that's what I got from it.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. Appreciate that. Okay, so I pulled cards on the same question, which was, let's repeat. A friend and I are planning a road trip together. How will it work out? Okay, so I thought this was interesting because the cards that I pulled the cards, and then what I got out of the cards was not what I normally get out of these cards. And so I thought that was really helpful. Okay, so this is what I came up with. I was first interested in compatibility. Are these two people compatible? I would want to know that. I also would want to know if they were, financially compatible, right? If they saw things a lot in the same way, because any trip is going to be about, finances, spending money on, gas and lodging and food and entertainment. And, vacations are a money grab, so I thought financially that was going to be important, that, do they both have enough money to see it through? And then finally, like, what would the outcome of this trip be? Well, the first card that I got was, and this is the Everyday Witch deck, is the Four of Swords. That was the first one that I got.
Okay.
And, I normally see this as a step back. But in this particular case, I'm asking about what is the compatibility of these people. And I looked at how serene and how peaceful this individual is. And I'm thinking, you know what? These are two rather low-key people that, I think that they're low key. They're probably type B personalities that would be very compatible together. I see a moment of peace, right? This is like a peaceful time, and also I see it as a much needed retreat, for the two of them, and that's something that compatible. If I'm asking about compatibility, this is a much needed retreat for both of them. So I think that I think at least looking forward, they're not seeing any problems. They're actually looking forward to the trip. Now, I see the second one. Are they financially compatible? Or are finances, what do finances have to do with the trip? And for this, I can't figure out what side I want to be on. I got the Seven of Swords for this question. And, it's funny because I always, this can be the card of deceit or lies, or, hiding something. But, I saw this immediately as people who value their resources, right? So I don't see this as somebody, or as these people are going to be squandering their money. I see this as saying, here's a couple of people that are really going to be careful with their spending, but staying within their budget. But I also see them as a couple going on this trip. as being planners. They have a plan, and most planners have a plan B for every plan A that they have. And so I think that I just see this as being really valuing the resources and having a plan. But strategic as money is, there is that degree of maybe not deceit, but I look at this card as kind of flying under the radar sometimes, or holding holding something close to the vest. So maybe they're not really sharing a lot about their finances with each other, because maybe one doesn't want the other one to know, hey, I've got a lot of extra juju here that we can splurge on something where, I don't want you knowing I have enough money to carry you, if you don't. So I kind of see it as, yeah, they're both resourceful, but yet they're not really, sharing a lot of information about money. The final one I asked was, what was the outcome? And I too got a 6 of Cups. And I see the 6 of Cups more as a kind of, to me, it's like a card of building memories. And usually there's some type of it's a look back, and it's like it's a good look back. So I think that what's going to happen is, I think they're going to be I think the trip is going to work out really well. I think the trip is going to give them something that they can look back fondly on. And and that's the gift that they give to each other. So I kind of see it that way. And again, it's interesting because I never got these cards to answer those kinds of questions. So it did open up. And as I've been reading in a shop lately, so I'm doing a lot more readings, and I'm finding how the more that I read, the more different situations, real life situations that are coming out in these readings, really are making me have to look at these cards, and how they can relate to what I call modern times. It's nice to have the traditional meanings for these cards, but you really do need to have real life, everyday experiences to say, hey, some of these cards are life lesson cards, and some of these cards are just, descriptive or filler cards. They fill in the holes of the voids of our life. They don't have to be a major big deal. It could just be, there doesn't have to be deceit between two people. There just has to be, it's just that maybe they just don't want to share everything. That doesn't mean it's deceitful. It just means they're keeping it close to the vest. So that's kind of how I saw that.
Yeah, something strikes me there that's very relevant about holidays. Sometimes it happens, if you're going with somebody, it touches on what you were saying. Sometimes people can be reticent at paying their share. There can be somebody, if you're ordering something, they need to go to the loo or something, or if you're paying something. So just to be aware of that, to be aware that if a situation like that arises, if it should arise, just to be ready for it, not to get knocked back by something like that.
Right.
With that 7 of Swords, it could be somebody who might not mean this at all. So it might be somebody who just isn't thoughtful about this. So just to be aware of it and maybe look for a better angle on it, or how to cope if that does happen.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. How about you, Kate? Anything that you see?
I thought it was really interesting, that whole idea of the 7 of Swords, because I'm like you, I don't necessarily, although, your top level go-to meeting is, deceit, but it can be just a fundamentally different approach
Right.
to finances and money,
Yeah.
right? Nobody is trying to pull one over on the other person, but they have very different understandings of what money means to them, right? And that can be a source of conflict, but if you acknowledge it right up front, then the conflict goes away, right?
I agree.
And we're talking about this in a way that so that, aspiring tarotists and other people that are watching can say, oh, how do we approach, so many people ask, and even lately I've had some people ask me, how do you take something that's like, I can say in 30 seconds and turn it into a 10-minute dissertation? Well, it's with that kind of knowledge or that kind of experience behind us. It's like, hey, been there, done that, right? Had people take advantage. So it's just like, what to be aware of. What would you normally think about? That's why I like to ask the question, what does this situation, what do you want to know from this situation? And then follow those paths, to get the
And
cards.
throw it out to the client. What you were saying is great about the Seven of Swords, rather than saying just it's deceit and stealing and keep away from that person or whatever. Just to make them aware of the things, or is there anything on their mind? Is there any doubt they've had like that themselves? Are they kind of thinking in that direction, or wondering, will someone be trying to pull the wool over their eyes? Or how are they feeling? Is that something that's coming up for them?
But, and again, like I said, it's that everyday feeling. It's like when I read the question, it's like the first thing I want to know is, do they have enough money, or am I going to have to carry them? That was one of them. Some people don't care about that. I happen to. I thought it was interesting.
Well, I mean, again, you don't mind carrying somebody if it's not, if they haven't planned for you to carry them.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that I came up with the Four of Swords for, the compatibility, and Kate came up with the Knight of Swords. I mean, what a vast difference, between the two. It's like, all right, let's roll up our sleeves and kick some ass, compared to, oh, let's just lay low and not worry about the world. It's like, okay.
It's from the sublime to the ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. It's so fun. So let's tackle the next one. The second question that I threw out there was about a coworker. And and it says, I'm sensing a bit of tension from a coworker, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. What's going on, and how should I handle it? Just tension that I don't understand. So that would be next. Anne-Marie, do you want to go first?
Yeah, wait till I see now, until I get my office set up here, first of all.
Okay. Well,
Okay, here we go. Okay.
Okay, while you're fixing that, I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
The boards, she's having trouble with the new board. It's taking everything down.
This was not a good idea, but it seemed like a good idea at the time.
I thought it looked great.
Well, we'll go with somebody else while I'm rescuing all this.
Best laid plans, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Best laid plans.
All right. So I'll go next. So of course, my first question was, well, what's the problem, right? What is the problem? And secondly, how do I handle her? How should I, what am I to do with this problem, right? How should I handle it? And then finally, well, I kind of did kind of a what to do and what not to do, with this situation. So what I came up with for my, what is the problem? I got the Six of Swords. And what made me realize was it's not about you. It's something else. It's baggage that this individual is carrying from something else that did not work out for her. So, and I'm assuming it's a her. It could be a him, but sometimes we just get so mired in our own issues that we don't realize when we're coming across to other people, in a way that that's, I mean, I do it all the time. People say, God, did I do something? It's like, no, why? What's your problem? It's like, it's just we see the Six of Swords as a situation where we're either leaving a situation or we've been removed or being removed from a situation, that is no longer serving us. I liken it to being fired from a job I didn't like anyway, or being dumped by a boyfriend that wasn't nice to me anyway. It's hey,
Mm.
good riddance, good to be gone. But sometimes, we carry that baggage, we carry whatever feelings with us, and sometimes we wear them on our sleeve. And I just got the sense when I pulled the card that that it wasn't about you. And strangely enough, the next card that I got, what to do, right? And I didn't pull that until after I wrote that down. I got the Eight of Swords. So what to do? It's like quit overthinking it. You're just assuming because somebody has a short tone today or whatever that, or a short tone with you, that it's something that it's your fault. And we take on way more than we should. I call this my stinking thinking card. This is where it obviously has to be about us. What have we done? And I think it's really important that that if you're feeling trapped, who's making it uncomfortable? Is the other person making it uncomfortable, or is it your reaction to her? And maybe you need to take a look at that. How do you react to people? This could be there's possibility that you could be, have empath tendencies, right? Where you pick up on other people's emotions and they become yours and you don't even know why. And so I think maybe it's like taking a look at what you should do is take a look at your reaction to how you're reacting to this individual. And again, I still haven't answered the question, but it's kind of hard because we really don't know still at this point. What not to do? I got the King of Swords here. And I think it's important that because this has to do with feeling uncomfortable or feelings at all, I think it's really important not to confront the situation in an abrupt, factual way, because that's what he would do. But still, the King of Swords, even though we see him as being, kind of, uh, surly and disciplinarian and all that, he does look at all sides of issues. And I think that maybe taking the time, giving the benefit of the doubt and taking the time to actually sit down and say, hey, let's find some common ground here. And, is there something going on in your life that, needs that needs some help? Because he can do that. He can care enough to help people. He's good with solutions. He's very strategic about it, but he comes along with solutions and likes to help people as well. So I think maybe sitting down and confronting the situation, but doing it in a way that draws common ground as opposed to the other. So that's my take on it. Did you get yourself situated, Anne Marie?
We will see now. We will do go magic and see if it works, it works.
Okay.
If it doesn't, no, not exactly. Okay. Anyway,
Yay, fresh
I shall move
strawberries.
this up and you will be able to see the
Perfect.
cards that I drew. So for my number one card in the center, I had the Nine of Cups. Okay. Oh, where were you? You can see
And
this.
by the way, Anne Marie, you are using the Cozy Witch deck.
Oh yes, I got my pendulum out today and I researched a few decks to see which decks would be most suitable for the different questions. I got the Rider Waite Smith Radiant for two of them, and I got the Cozy Witch for the other one. So this is
Okay.
how I'm with I love the Cozy Witch, and you were the one that instigated that, Lynn. You were telling me about that,
I
and
love it.
I got a present of it afterwards, an unexpected present of it. I had mentioned it, mind you, but I got an unexpected present of it.
Yeah.
So for that, I got the questions. What questions was I going to ask? I was saying to myself, okay, co-worker. I was thinking to myself again, if you were one to one with someone, you'd be wondering, what is it you believe that's making you feel that there's a problem? What thought are you thinking that's making you believe that there's a problem between you? What is that? Can you isolate that? And number two might be, how might the co-worker be really feeling? What is the truth of it? And number three was, what action might be helpful in resolving the situation? So that turned into the first card I got was the Seven of Cups, and I was saying to myself, who knows what anyone is thinking really, or how anyone is feeling. There's so much going on in everybody's lives that we know nothing. We're in the dark. The Rider-Waite-Smith one would put you in the dark, standing, looking at the Seven Cups. Um, so, so have a little bit of compassion, really, and pull yourself back a little bit and ask yourself, what is it that I'm believing about that person that makes me feel that there's a problem? And do this compassionately. Compassionately, be on your best. Examine your assumptions with compassion. That was that. And then on the card number 2, which was the Three of Wands, it says here, I don't know what it says there, because my light is gone. But anyway, for the Three of Wands, is it somebody, this is what came into my mind. The Three of Wands is about expansion and kind of finding your feet, but going further afield. So I was saying to myself, could this be somebody, could this other person be somebody who's maybe trying to spread their wings or finding their feet and kind of maybe coming out of their comfort zone, or coming out of their shell a little bit, which feels a bit different to the way they would normally act. So you're thinking, what's up there? They might just be testing the waters, and trying to expand their horizons. And that might be what it is, that maybe they're trying to get out of their little box that they're in whatever it's a co-worker situation. So maybe it's something like that. Now, I don't know why I felt it could be something like that, but that's what I felt about it. So the third card I got was the Page of Pentacles, which is new paths and being solid and being dependable, and that in the Cozy Witch, it's a lovely a lady. Can you see her there?
Oh yeah, we can see.
Okay, but it's these are lovely compassionate cards. So what I thought of for that was, so look at the best case scenario. Give them the benefit of the doubt and the opportunity, which is what you were saying, Lynn, the opportunity to clear the air. Because going in the center card, which I reckon is the nub of any situation, these ideas and feelings that you have about their feelings and what they're going through could be all just pie in the sky. They need to be examined more closely to see, is there any reality on any of them, or are they all just illusions?
Right.
So that's
it's kind of funny, because your questions were just, your first and second card, positions or questions were just the opposite of mine. Did you notice that? It was kind of like, oh yeah, what is the deal was in the center, where,
yes.
what are you really thinking about the situation? Why are you thinking there's a problem? Becomes her number one. It's fun how we look at these things, how we think about the questions before we even have cards pulled.
And if this was an actual situation where you had someone sitting in front of you, you'd have an opportunity to thrash all that out, because you would give them what you're feeling, or what you feel the cards are saying, and they would be able to react then and say, oh my goodness, I never thought of that, or that's exactly what was going on. So you would then have something to work on going forward. And that's why I think it's helpful. Maybe there's someone looking in who was like me. When I went to readers years ago, I was always going straight face, tell them nothing, that's their job, they don't know, they're no good.
It's not that way anymore.
That gets you nowhere. Nowhere. You give nothing, you get nothing.
Right.
So you have to be prepared to give a certain amount, and then see how you're feeling, see if you get anything. But if you sit there, because the cards, there are so many meanings to the cards, to each card and to each question, that unless you have something to work on, you could be channeling things in a different direction, I think.
Well, I sure feel like my reading style is changing, just in this short couple of months that I've been, reading regular in a shop. It's just, I've been asking a lot more questions, trying to pull out, what is it that you really need today? What did you really come in for? Because sometimes they don't even know what they came in for. And so, yeah, it's kind of, it really helps to have that conversation. And I like doing it more as a conversation. All right, Kate, what'd you get?
Just before you go, as you're saying that, I think It might be true that they don't know, but I think most of the time it takes a while to persuade them to say what they really want.
Right.
They'll fliff and flap around with some silly question, and when you dig that little bit deeper, they'll come up with the question they need. Mind you,
Yep, you
generally,
do.
just when
They
they're going
do.
out there and say, "Oh, by the way, what I really wanted to ask you was,"
Now, I usually get that when they're walking out the door. It's like,
yes, yeah, that's
wait a minute.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Kate,
Well, I'm going to be the bad news bear here.
okay.
Because and the way I always have kind of looked at these 3 card readings is like the first card is that the leading energy, central energy, and then the ebbing or fading energy. So my first one is everybody's favorite, the Knight of Cups.
Knight of
Knight of
Cups.
Cups, of course, is the guy you can't really trust, right? Like he's smooth and he's glib and he's charming and that sort of stuff. And he's like, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, and then he leaves you standing in a snowbank, right? It's so if that's your coworker, yeah, you got a problem, and it's not about you. It's
Right.
about this
Mhm.
individual, right? So that's just something to keep under your hat. You're not going to get confrontational about it, but it's your warning sign. It's like, oh, okay, somebody's spinning this, and I don't necessarily need to get caught in the merry-go-round. And my central energy card for this was 3 of Cups. And the 3 of Cups, of course, is people coming together. Um, support, circle of support. So it'd be one of those things. Take a look at the land, take a look at the relationships. Have you got other people in this organization, right? Are we going to have factions growing, or is this person going to remain outside? Are they trying to dominate a particular faction? Like, just it's time to take a look at what your circles of support are and where things are going, and how this Knight of Cups, not necessarily meaning to be deceptive, but just, you can't always trust him. He's always got good words, but the actions don't necessarily follow. And then for my ebbing energy here, I have, like Anne-Marie, the 3 of Wands. And this is, classic Jupiter energy. It's expansion. This situation is not going to resolve itself per se. It's not just a little thing that is a drop in the. You're going to be dealing with this in a while. And that circle of support might become, it can either be your bulwark or it can be the whirlpool that you get sucked into. So just
That's
uh,
interesting.
yeah, I think this is definitely beware kind of reading. I'm not saying getting all argy-bargy with somebody about it, but this is definitely you're being put on notice here. There's something going on, and you're not privy to all of it, but keep your powder dry.
Yeah. That's great. You just gave me two. I just got a big aha moment. I have somebody I've been trying to contend with it at work right now, and trying to figure out where he belongs. And the Knight of Cups, you described him perfectly. So it's like, okay, there he is. There he is.
Mhm.
That's who I have. And now when he comes up in readings, especially my own readings, I'm gonna know, now what, a little bit better what's going on with him. Sometimes we can't see that. Sometimes we have to hear this from other people before we can
Mm.
see it on our
Yeah.
own.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that yeah, I definitely see the 3 of Cups as, I mean, the first thing I thought of was I may go to somebody within my inner circle and
Yeah.
say, and ask their opinion. And their opinion might be, oh yeah, just let it go. And then you can walk away. But what I'm saying, as opposed to going directly to the person and being confrontative, it's more
Yeah.
like, what do you see? Do you see the same thing that I see? And it might, and I think that's what a lot of people probably would do. But still, it's yeah. I like I always, I see the Three of Wands. I've always seen this Three of Wands as, throw it up against the wall and see what sticks and what doesn't, it's like, put it out there and see what comes back to you.
Yeah. And the other thing, with that Knight of Cups kind of thing is ignore the words, watch the behavior,
That's right.
right? Like to me, that's really the underlying foundational meaning of the Knight of Cups.
Yep.
Ignore the pretties and pay attention to the behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm seeing I'm seeing a total people pleaser that will tell you just about anything you want to hear, not to be mean, not to be mean-spirited, because they really truly want you to be happy. They just
Yeah.
can't. It's just a it's
And they're
all
afraid of conflict.
it's all crap, they're just doing it, they're doing it because they need the validation that you're happy with them.
Yeah.
That's where it's coming from. It's not coming from a bad place. It's coming from a very needy place.
Yeah.
And so yeah. Yeah, I've never trusted the Knight of Cups. I mean, people are like, oh, it's, he's such a nice guy. Yeah, right. I don't know. I think he runs hot and cold.
I
I
didn't
had a
ever, I'm sorry. I
I
didn't
had a
ever
friend
trust
who
you were going on, sorry.
go ahead, Anne-Marie.
I never trusted the Knight of Cups either. I always felt in my mind he was, what is the old way of saying, the silver-tongued charmer.
Yep.
Yeah.
That he was just a smoothie, and everything was going for him. Everything was fine. He would tell you anything as long as he was getting his own way and things were moving for him in his direction. And then I was listening to someone or somewhere talking about the Knight of Cups, and they were saying that he was heading. Look at him. He's heading in your direction, and he's offering you his heart. And
Hmm.
I think I was falling for the Knight of Cups at this stage because I was thinking, I never looked at it like that. I never saw there being any good in him. But they said he's offering everything to you. He has this chalice in front, and he's offering you his heart in a cup. But anyway, that's just a thought. So I suppose we could bear the two sides. We could bear the two sides in mind and see which one fits.
That's right. I agree. Next question. Last question. There we go. Let's see here. This is about marriage advice. Okay. So I live in my hometown where I have a large family with whom I'm very close. My husband of 2 years just got a huge job opportunity in another state and wants us to move. I'm very uncomfortable moving so far away. What do I need to know about this move, or what do I need to prepare for with this move? So, Kate.
Well, once again, I think I'm probably going to be Debbie Downer here, but
Okay.
my first card was the Four of Swords, right? That this is not something that you can take quickly. You need to pull back and really be examining your feelings and your emotional response to this. The nickname for me in the family is Dr. No. That's my daughter knew. Ask mom anything.
And that is not
Automatic
as
answer.
in KNOW. It's
No, it's in the no.
Oh.
Mom, can I go to the movies with my friends? No, right? And that was the thing, is that and she knew, you just wait a second, then I'm like, gives me an opportunity to go through my stuff and go, there's no reason why she can't go to the movies, right? That sort of stuff. But that's my kind of knee-jerk reaction. So one of the things that I learned with my automatic no is I need to sit back and evaluate that, right? Take the first flash and then sit with it. So I think that's really important in making a big decision like this. I'm assuming a female, querent here. The first is I don't want to be so far away from my family. That this is bad, right? And I think there needs to be a real examination of what is underneath that Dr. No kind of thing. Second card that I got here was Judgment. And Judgment is kind of reflecting that first question, because Judgment is an invitation to take the time that you need for self-reflection and analysis. And this is going to be really important because obviously there are other people involved in this decision, the person's spouse, work considerations, housing considerations, are the kids in school kind of considerations, right? Are we uprooting children from, I mean, I have my sister, when she was overseas, the last year that her son was supposed to be in high school, right? He would have to come back to Canada. And she goes, do I want to interrupt a kid from his social thing in his last year of high school, right? And so they had to make decisions around that. So you really need to sit down and allow yourself the time and the space to not suppress your feelings, but to acknowledge them and understand where they're coming from and what kind of information they're conveying to you. And the Five of Wands is the ebbing energy on this, and that to me says there is going to be conflict. Other partners not necessarily going to see this the same way. Maybe your family members are not going to see this the same way. There may be kids that are involved, and I don't think it's going to be like serious, because Five of Wands, it can be very kind of childish energy, but it's important to just brace yourself that not everybody, no matter how quote logical you make it, are going to see this the same way, and not everybody's going to be happy with the final decision.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. It's yeah. Anne Marie,
Okay.
what cards did you get?
The questions I came up with was, let's see now. What are your deepest fears about this potential move? So that to me was very like what Kate is saying, take, and for that I came up with the Hanged Man. So it's step back, take your time, look at it from all the different angles, just see what's involved. What are you really afraid of here? But also look at what might be the advantages. What advantages might there be to moving, to getting a whole new start, to making new friends? It might not all be bad. So look at it from different angles before you jump in and say either yes or no. And also to be aware is, because it's the Hanged Man, there is often an element of sacrifice about this. So ask yourself, if I go with this, it's not my idea, it's been thrust upon me. So if I do go with this, what will I have to be prepared to let go of or to give up in order to achieve something else long term? So maybe there's a short term or mid-term loss to get a long-term gain. So that was my central energy card. And the second question I asked was, where has it gone to? How would or could this move potentially impact on you and your relationship? Because what impact would it have? Yes or no?
Good
That's a
question.
big thing. And the two cards came up are the sun came up as an answer to this one, but these acknowledge the fact that this is a major life choice, because you've got the sun and the Hanged Man. So this is big stuff. So the sun, the impact on you and your relationship. And what I wrote down for this, just thinking, it could be amazing. It could be a bright new start, leaving the past behind and opening yourself up to new ideas, to new friends. And would also give you a home to come back to. Now, I never thought of this until one of my sisters was saying, this is the nicest part about being away, the nicest part about being away from your home. And I was saying, what is the nicest part? You get this to come back to. You can look forward to your coming back. And when you do come back, you get the best of what's on offer, because everyone is generally on their best behavior to see you. So this was just a part of it. So the sun, so I got for the sun that it could be just amazing. So just keep it in mind. And the third question I had to ask was, where's number 3? How could or would this move potentially impact on your husband and his career going forward, or his life choices going forward. And for that, I got the Three of Pentacles. So for me, that was straight away an opportunity to expand and to show off his talents. There would be an elevation for him. He's get this man is up on a bench. He's going up in the world. He also has people standing back and admiring what he's doing and appreciating and approving what he's doing. So there's also an opportunity for him to work with others to maximize his achievements and his working experience. So I think the whole thing, what this all revolves on, the idea I get looking at the cards is it would be good for her and good for him if they made this move. But the central thing is to dig down deep there and see, would it be worth the cost?
Right.
And to stand back and evaluate it and see, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
So that's my take on that.
Yeah. It's funny because I too got the Three of Pentacles, so it's like we know, and to me, mine was in the center, so it was kind of like a teamwork, it was like that was kind of like the focal point. So what I said was, or the first one that I got, and this is the one where I couldn't really come up with good questions. I mean, I just kind of wanted to know the overall, I wanted to know what the progression would be. And it's for me, it started with the Eight of Swords, and it's like, you're so concerned about leaving your family, about leaving what you know and what's comfortable for you, that it's almost like it's like it's making your world small. I mean, if you're old enough to now be married, it's time to, most people by the time they hit college, they want to get as far from home as possible, right? So that they can experience the world. And if you are still tucked in close with your family, great to be close to the family, but it's better to expand your world so that you don't feel so closed in. And I think that hurts and causes a lot of the problems, a lot of the stuff. But I love the Hanged Man that you came up with, because you're right. It's like, what was the question? It was like, what am I not seeing? It's like, oh, I'm seeing this from, one side, when I obviously need to be looking at the other side, so I like that. So as far as my my middle ground, I had the that's where I came up with the teamwork card. And I just felt like it's you and your husband really need to work together to figure out what's going to make you comfortable, and what's going to, and I just think that knowledge is power. And the more she learns about her husband's job, and about where he's going, where you guys are moving, and more, if you learn more about the just the aesthetics of the place, it will help put things at ease. And I just think that knowledge is power. And then if she could just lean on him and let him know where she is and where she's feeling, then the two of them can work together to try to, allay some of her fears and her concerns. And finally, it's like, what is the end result of all of that? I got the Four of Wands. So to me, what I like about it, to me, the Four of Wands talks about being exactly where you need to be. So I liken it to coming home from a long day of crap, and being able to toss myself on the couch and get a bunch of kisses from my puppies that have been running around in the background over here. But to me, it's like, yeah, I'm home. This is right where I need to be. And I think that once she gets out there and gets settled and makes some friends, and gets to know his coworkers, spouses, and neighbors, and local vendors, she'll just settle in. And this card the four talks about stability, and that helps us, and that gives us that energy. So I think that's kind of, yeah, it's yeah, and I think it's what you make of it, don't you? And I think that we see people like this, that have questions, and I think that's kind of where this question for me comes up to is just the fact that, you know, people are so afraid of the unknown. And when we can just, God, I mean, we can just, you know, we can really just kind of screw ourselves with that, you know, we can just get so frickin', oh, gee, have we had this conversation in the last 24 hours, Kate?
I'm just thinking, you know, this fear of uncertainty, that is why I am Dr. No. You know, it's like, especially with my daughter, I was terrible with it when she said,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
we
poor
had
kid
this.
had
Catastrophize, is it
growing up.
catastrophizing? Is that the
Yeah,
word?
like, and that, and I was a police dispatcher while she's growing up, right? So it's like, what? No, you can't do that, right? And I really had to check myself because
Yeah.
this is coming out of my fear of uncertainty. And holy, you have not seen Control Freak till you've seen me in dispatcher mode, right?
Well, it's so funny because, yeah, because just yesterday you and I were talking about this. You know, I have a situation at work that I'm very concerned about, and it has nothing to do with me. It really, you
Yep.
know, and you kind of brought that forward. It's like, you know, and you had said that, you know, I was catastrophizing, as I think is the word, a situation. And I went, okay, so I've got too much drama, right? And you differentiated. You said, no,
Yep.
it's not. That's not about drama. Drama is about, you know, narcissistic, you know, pay attention to
Tendency.
me, trying to bring, and that's not it. It was about it, and I said, okay, so to me, it's almost like this is a fatalistic attitude. It's like, oh, what can go wrong will. And
Yeah.
so, you know, so many of us, you know, we think that. And so when we're sitting in front of a client and we have somebody who is in that stinking thinking frame of mind, you know, what do we do with that? You know, where do we take it? You know, we try to show them that we understand where they're coming from, and we try to give them scenarios, stories, whatever that we can share with them. And people say, oh, you need to leave your ego at the door. And you know, I did a video on, you know, what, don't leave your ego at the door. But it's being able to relate to them, you know, in a way that they can see past, you know, what's right here in their face, this fear or this unknown that's right here, and maybe back it off a little bit, you know, and
Yeah.
say, oh, okay. And there's the hangman. That's where the hangman comes in, right?
Yeah.
See, the beauty of what you were
Absolutely.
saying as well, Lynn, about what goes on in our mind a lot is when we're overcome with an emotional reaction to something like that. This is a big thing. You think suddenly, moving house, moving children, can I cope with all of this? So your mind becomes a whirlpool of unsettled ideas. So for my money, you take out your pad, your notepad, and you start writing down. You know, like when it's the seven of cups, you write down what each of them signifies, so that you can make an informed decision. Because a lot of the time, you get to about number three and say, "But what else was there now? What else was there?" And really, it's just that one thing was taking over and going round and round in your head.
That's right.
So if you put your list of cons, pros and cons, and just see which is the strongest and keep going until you run out, and just see which list is the longest. And then when you see which list is the longest, see which one is the strongest, because that's what would make all the difference.
And
And
then you can go through and cross out the things that, you know, how important are they really to the, is this really is this really significant to the situation, or am I just, you know,
what,
catastrophizing?
what are you prepared to compromise on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. I love it. I agree. Well, that was kind of fun. People always like to see, I always like to see other people's interpretations of things, and you know, it opens us up, and I think probably the main thing I got out of this exercise today is the fact that, and it just brought home the fact that lately, just of lately, I've really been starting to that what the cards mean to me have really been ebbing and flowing. And I think that's just because I've been doing so many more readings that I have been, excuse me, that I think maybe my intuition has been more active, you know, and I'm seeing things, and you know, there's just been a lot more activity with my spirit guides, you know, that's bringing out different things in it for me. So sorry. Anyway, anybody have any last thing?
No, I think I'm pretty good. And I'm actually going to sign off, Lynn, because I see the power lights have flickered a couple times. So you're going to lose me in this wind. So I think I'm
I
just going
saw
to let
that.
you wrap. Yeah, I'm just going to let you wrap up. Bye,
All right.
Marie, and talk to you guys later.
All
Okay.
right. We'll see you, Kate. And then Anne Marie, it's just you and me, girl. And I
Oh,
think that you and I are the ones that like to plan stuff anyway. So, and I guess I should have asked Kate before she left, but she really liked the idea of psychic vampires. I have had an issue lately with psychic vampires, and I asked her the other day how she felt about maybe doing a segment on that.
uh-huh.
Um, and you know, it's not just about psychic vampires, it's about just people who, you know, energy vampires, right? People who suck our energy and how to, you know, how we can cope with that and deal with that. And
Okay.
I have, you know, I've found myself kind of on the brunt end of that, you know, lately. How much of it is them and how much, you know, how much of it are they really putting off on us? Are they really sucking from us? And you know, how much are we just letting them do it? You know, or how much of it is that stinking thinking, you know, that
Hmm.
you know, attitude. And I think I just think that there are a lot of people out there that are have empath tendencies, and I just don't think that they realize it, or they know that that's a part of their makeup, but they don't think about it because it doesn't affect them on a daily basis. And that's kind of where I'm at. I
Hmm.
don't realize until I'm so uppity, you know, and up in arms over something that somebody did or said. It's like, wait a minute, you know, this doesn't really have anything to do with me. Why am I feeling this way? You know, and
Hmm.
it's because I have taken in, you know, that energy. So,
Hmm.
taken in somebody else's energy, and it doesn't happen every day, but sometimes I get so nervous, or so I'll feel something and not know why, and then I realize, oh, I know why. It's
That's
that
it.
energy.
It's an
It's
interesting one now. I don't know what to, I don't really know. It's something I'm going to have to think about a lot
Well,
because
that's why, yeah, we get have a month to
I
think
know what
about
you're
it and read up and, you know, look
saying.
at different scenarios. I'll try to bring some different things to the table, but
Yeah.
I think that would be fun for next month. And also, I was thinking, looking at the lists of things, incorporating other modalities, you know, like crystals and pendulums and oracles and Lenormand and other decks and, you know, astrology. I mean, there's all kinds of things, and I'm curious as to what my fellow tarot readers, you know, what those of you add or use either in practice or just, you know, for personal satisfaction.
I've come around to the idea now lately of introducing an oracle card, and I'm liking that idea. I'm liking
Yeah,
that idea as a kind of a tie-up, and it's only lately this has struck me. I haven't looked at them for ages, and now I find get to the end of a reading and ask someone to pull an oracle card, and it settles someone again. They pull it themselves, they look at it, and 9 times out of 10, they want to read what it says in the book,
yeah.
and it is a whole settling influence, and I find that a nice idea now. And again, for reading, even with myself, I find I like what comes out. So what would be a nice idea is, has anybody got any particularly nice oracle decks as
Let's
well,
put
you
that
know?
on the list too. And
Yeah.
that might be a great one to add to this, incorporating other modalities. Maybe we
Yes,
could just
yes,
spend a little bit of time talking about each one.
because you
Well,
could have lots and lots. You don't want lots and lots of decks. If you had one or two good oracle
right.
decks, that would be it.
Well, and you know what? I think you have one of the nicest ones that you showed today, and that's the Cozy Witch. You know,
That
there
is
is an
fabulous.
oracle at the bottom of every card, and it's beautiful. You know, it's
It's
beautiful what it
really,
says.
really nice now, I must say. There's a lovely, and it's called the Cozy Witch, but it does have, it's like getting a hug. I find when you're
Yeah,
doing a reading with that, it's like getting and giving a hug. That
yeah,
it just is so cozy. And you can read, as you said, the oracle meaning at the end of it, and
right.
in your own head, you know what the
Sure.
RWS meaning is. So you're
Right.
you're translating it and giving that soft, cozy feeling.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Well, okay. Well, let's look at psychic vampires for March, and then we'll come back and maybe do modalities, different modalities like that, including maybe a little talk about all of them, but maybe hone in on some oracles. And let's do
Mm.
that. Let's look at that or consider that for April. And
Perfect. Perfect.
hey, Anne Marie, have a wonderful rest of the winter. And the next time I see you, it's going to be spring.
Spring. Hey,
Kind of.
excuse me. It's spring here. Our spring is the 1st of February.
Oh, okay. So here it's like, March, but March,
Yeah,
April.
yeah.
But
Well, it
all
should be
right.
March, April.
Love
Okay.
seeing you. We'll talk to you
Too.
soon. Take care of yourself and see you in March.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.